Audio rolling.
Are you ready to introduce yourself?
Let's get the questions up here. Right.
Hey everyone, my name is Sarah Faye.
And I'm JD.
And welcome to the Dulaka Show.
The Dulaka Show.
Episode 1.
This is a tentative title.
Yes.
Until we can come up with something more
Catchy. Or like brand worthy.
Something that can
give us a brand.
Yeah, because Dulaka Show doesn't roll off the tongue. I wanted to call it the Dulaka Podcast, but she wants to make this a show.
Yeah.
So I guess we're gonna do activities or something.
Yeah,
like
activities.
That.
And our first activity. Ta-da! You like my sound effects? Ta-da! This is palitaw. This is a traditional Filipino snack rice cake thing. So we're going to be chowing on this, and we also have more snacks. Ta-da! Honey butter chips.
Japanese.
Earlier he was like, "Who eats on a podcast?" Like, we do, duh. Like if no one else does it, like then we're original.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you want to do like a little background introduction or
on the topic today?
Or like about ourselves or
well, I'm a dude.
And I'm a dudette.
I'm a dude who likes video games and art and appreciating art. Yeah.
Yeah.
I make music sometimes. She makes music all the time. Wait, you should probably introduce yourself.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, yeah, that dude is my brother. You can't tell now because like I'm pretty and like he's not pretty. He's handsome. Your face. Just kidding. Yeah, we're siblings. If you couldn't tell. So yeah, I am a sort of like local musician in here in the city we live in, and yeah, I guess as siblings we're both like artsy in our own ways. Like I feel like he's really musical as well, but like he just has a lot of different interests. But yeah, so our topic for today is...
You want to say it?
We should say it together.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. K-pop. Okay, so yeah, we like for our show we talked about like we want to talk more about like culture and stuff like that. So some more background. JD and I, we're living now in the Philippines. We've been living here for like 6 years or almost 7 years. But we were actually raised in the States, in USA, in California. So yeah, we're kind of like cross-culture, third culture kids. So yeah, we want to talk about more on like culture stuff and like maybe future episodes we can talk more about of our like experiences of being like adjusting to different cultures and growing up in like America as like immigrants. So yeah. So
for our first topic, well, let's start off about how we
K-pop,
how we got into K-pop because.
Yeah. Okay, he goes first. He has to go first because just like full discretion.
Full discretion. Yes.
Yeah, I actually have only been into K-pop for like roughly a month now. So yeah, I think it's gonna. I thought about like before we filmed this, I was like, this is gonna be an interesting topic, especially because he's been a K-pop fan for a while, and then I'm like a rookie newbie K-pop fan.
She's like a 1 month. Like, old K-pop fan
so
at this point.
It's gonna be interesting like with the kind of interaction with like an old K-pop stan and a new one. So I think like we can like exchange our ideas and opinions, and you can also educate me some more about a lot of the things that I don't know about K-pop.
Yeah, I think most people when they get into K-pop, it always starts with K-pop. You know, like ew. It's always like
Especially if you're
weird.
not like,
Yeah, if you're not,
if you're like more into Western media,
exactly.
which is me. Like
It's
I think I'm
very weird. It comes
Yeah.
off as very weird. It all started with one of my friends. She's always posting BTS and Luna. It's just those two. Of course, I got very attracted to like Luna posts, but whenever she would post something about these groups, I'd always be the first to like make fun of it. Like, like if there's like some sort of
you were one of those people too that would make fun of it.
make fun of it in a joking way. I'm like
Yeah.
I'm not putting down her interest.
Yeah,
But I'm just teasing
like
her
how I
about
used
it.
to be with you. Like
Yeah.
like well,
Yeah.
K-pop.
Like she'd make a post like, "Oh, BTS without context. What do you guys think this is about?" And then I'd be the one to make the most ridiculous statements like, oh, this is about their secret secret. What's the word I'm looking for? Basically, like society, and they want to kill babies, and that's why they're squishing each other's.
Conspiracy theories.
They're squishing each other's cheeks, and yeah. Or there was one that was like, cause yeah, the caption of the photo was like, Apple, and she was like, what does it mean, Apple? And I'm like the first to go like, yeah, well maybe she used to have an Adam's apple, and now she's a girl, but she had a sex change. She's just like, you're way off.
So out there.
So yeah, but just one day, I decided to go into Spotify, and there it is, their entire discography, Luna. And actually, no, I did listen to BTS, and I didn't hate their music before, you know.
He actually like, I think it was during the fake love era. That's when he was like, oh, BTS is actually really good, and I was
Yeah,
like,
but even before the fake love era, during
Wings.
I think Wings? Is
Wings
that where
era?
Blood, Sweat, and Tears is?
Yeah, Wings. Yeah.
So during that era,
Did my research.
I was listening. I listened to some other songs. Like, yeah, they're okay. Hip hop group, but yeah, it was. I decided to listen to the entire discography up to that point of Luna, and I loved it. It was after I listened to the whole thing, because the coolest thing about Luna is that during that time, you know, they were not all 12 of them were revealed yet. There was only around 10 of them that were revealed so far. The 11th one on the way. And yeah, when I listened to the whole thing all the way up, I was just impressed that because the concept of Luna is that they, as opposed to like a traditional group where everyone is revealed at once and they have a single and then that's everything. Luna is a big group, 12 members.
12 members.
So how do you ease the public into members? And because, for example, I'm going on a lot of tangents here. The group Cosmic Girls, WJSN, Wuju Sonyo, they have 13 members, but personally I only know like 3 because they're the only ones that really attracted me. But I love the music. I just don't know all the members because I don't have the patience to learn 13 members. But Luna, each member was introduced one at a time with their own single, and each they rapidly changed genres from like. The other cool thing about Luna is that they're very somewhere in between R&B and EDM, and some songs lean more into the R&B, some songs lean more into the EDM, some are just sort of like a perfect mishmash, and I love that. You know, I love house music. I love future funk, and I also love R&B. So just hearing that, like those jazzy elements mixed in with these like electronic elements, I loved it. You know, and the cool thing is that even before all 12 of them were together, there was like subunits where they would have like just small parts of them come together as a small group to give you a taste of what it'll be when all 12 of them would be together. So that's what attracted me, and I got obsessed, you know. So with the music, That's
just the music, like
no, that's
the
no,
members.
no. It started with the music.
Oh, okay.
When I first listened to the playlist, I didn't know anything about them. I just kept playing the playlist over and over and over till I decided to watch a music video. And at that time, it was Go On, 11th member, just came out, and her music video just came out, and I watched it, and I'm like, this is the most cinematic thing ever I've ever seen in a music video. Like,
The aesthetic of K-pop music videos are
but
like
this is like on another level, because okay, the one thing that impressed me about the music video was that it changed aspect ratios, like constantly, and it was using that to tell a story in the music video. So if you don't know about aspect ratios, you either have like a wide or a narrow aspect ratio. So this music video kept switching from a vertical aspect ratio like you do when you're filming with your phone to a ultra wide.
oh, was that the one you showed me with
Yeah.
like the shadow?
And the the aesthetics are really nice, but I just love how they made it work, that the sort of, and they do that a lot in their music videos, aspect ratio changing. Even their latest comeback, the music video keeps switching from 4:3 to 16:9, which I don't know why, but I bet you can look into it and find some sort of meaning into there. But it looks really cool. So that's the thing I appreciated about Luna. It's a project that really wants to merge cinematography, storytelling, and music, and not just like any sort of music. It's very they jump genres a lot. And
Yeah.
For better or for worse, because lately they've been
Their new comeback, he was like,
I'm not super into.
Yeah.
I actually haven't talked to anyone about it because I don't want to be like that person who's everyone's loving it and I'm the one who doesn't like it.
well, now
But
you're telling everyone.
yeah, but it's growing on me. It's growing on me because it's still at its core. It's still Luna.
Yeah.
It's still
And
their concept.
we rewatched the music video and like the big screen downstairs, and he was like noticing all these things, and he was like, wait.
Yeah, the new music video
so
calls.
that's the thing with the K-pop music videos, like you have to watch it more than once because there's so many little details that like you miss out. Like the first time, like there's like it's more on the music and like the center and the visuals. Then like more and more you watch it and you notice little details.
I think the cool thing about K-pop is they're not afraid to go weird. Even the biggest
Be
groups.
super like cryptic with their messages and their visuals. It's like, what does that mean?
Even the biggest groups like Twice, they won't do a typical pop song that you'd hear in the West.
Yeah.
They're always trying to push like new concept, new idea, or something you'd often see in Western media is chasing what's popular, right? Something I've noticed that happens a lot in Eastern media is making something that would become popular. So
Interesting.
that's and sometimes you have to take risks. And these it's mostly the smaller studios, but there's still companies, right? Of course, you won't see the bigger companies make huge risks like that, but at the same time, they're always introducing new groups.
Yeah.
They're always making new concepts. So I admire that they're willing to try new things all the time. That's what I see a lot in K-pop.
Yeah.
And Korean media in general.
Yeah. I think that's what makes like fans so invested in it. Because like they want to, like it's something so new, so like you have to find out the meaning and like the story behind it and all that. And I think like international fans, there's like the added mystery and like excitement of it just because it's not in a language I mean, for me at least, like since like I can't understand Korean, so like when I listen to like a K-pop song, like there's that added excitement for me that's like suspense, like where I have to research like the meaning because I'm like, oh okay, like where like there's that one line that they usually have like in English, and like I'm like, why do they say like like fake love, and like why is this love fake? So then I have to search, and then you like start descending into this rabbit hole of all these theories, and like it's connected to this music video and this song, and like
Yeah, that's from there. I also listened to the other group BTS that my friend was into, and
So BTS was one of the first K-pop groups you got into as
yeah.
well. Oh, okay.
But of course, I tend to lean more into girl groups.
Girl groups, yeah.
Because I enjoy cute stuff.
Yeah.
So girl groups, that's the only place where you're gonna get cute stuff. So I love Twice. I love the Cosmic Girls. What else do I like? Yeah.
Or yeah.
So, but later on, I started getting into more indie Korean artists. So I started listening to Crush, Haze. I mean, they're not indie
and
in the
his
traditional.
ultimate crush.
Yeah.
Crush the artist, and he has an ultimate crush who is
Yerin Beck, because my friend covered her song, and then I listened to more of her stuff, and I'm like,
shout out to your friend. Who's your friend?
my friend Alex. Yeah, you should follow her and listen to her music covers. So yeah, that's me, and I've been trying for years to get her to appreciate it, because I'm not showing her, like, look at the complex chord progressions that they're doing in these songs. Look at the cool sounds that they're using in their instrumentation, and they're not using the traditional what do you call it, traditional
Like verse, chorus,
chorus,
bridge,
yeah.
chorus, yeah.
Structure. Like I was trying to get her to appreciate that, but she's just like, oh, it's K-pop.
Okay, yeah. Before we like actually delve into it, I just want to say, I'm sorry. No, it's definitely like a big lesson learned for me. Even like I mean, it wasn't that I never liked it. It's just I guess I was just not open to it, because like I said, like I'm really just into like Western media, and like honestly, it was only when I moved here to the Philippines where I actually like appreciated like OPM and stuff like that, and like local artists. And being a local artist, like just recently, like I've learned to really appreciate, like, you know, stream the artists that no one else streams, because you know it's really difficult to make it as a small artist. And yeah, like I think I was just really invested in like my own interests, but I think it's just I never gave the time to it. I think that's it. Like, and it's not that I was like closed off to getting into it, like I just never made time for it. And like, yeah, it wasn't really something that attracted me. And so I guess my story journey to K-pop was actually thanks to I feel so like guilty for this, but it was actually an English song that got me into K-pop, which is of course the #1 song everywhere now is Dynamite. And I think like I've always known who BTS was, but I just thought it was interesting. Like I think the first thing I saw was like an article, like BTS released his first song completely in English, and I was like, whoa, this is interesting. So I watched the music video, and like I was like, okay, it's a bunch of pretty boys. Like I didn't even think they were so like very attractive at first. I was like, but actually the one who really stood out to me like from the start was Jungkook. Like honestly, like I was like, oh, he's pretty cute and stuff, and like he sings really well.
She didn't know his name.
Yeah, I didn't know his name. I remember like when I started to actually like start like getting interested, I was like, Kuya, like what's the name of the one with the eyes like this?
You're talking about Jimin.
I was talking about Jimin. I was like, his eyes are like this, and he looked at me like, what are you talking about?
I was like,
that was like the only way I could describe it.
Taehyung? Like, eyes are like this.
I'm so bad.
Namjoon?
I'm so sorry. I'm like cringing at my past self now.
That was like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I was. But even like my past self, like, you know, years ago when he was trying to get me into K-pop, like I'm like, oh my gosh, I was so ignorant, you know. But yeah, and anyway, going back, I watched the Dynamite music video, and like the beginning was like, okay, it's like a typical like, you know, summer pop hit song, but it was the part the last chorus, like when it modulates and easy like I was like, whoa, they pulled that off. Because like, you know, one of the things that I really like observe like in music is like, you know, the key changes and stuff like that, and like it's really hard to pull off a key change like that, like if you study music and stuff like that. And I was like, whoa, they did that. And And then I watched their music video, and then a couple days later, they came out with an NPR Tiny Desk. And like I think the day that it came up as in my recommendations on my YouTube channel because I watch a lot of Tiny Desk concerts because that's like the kind of music that I'm into, like more on like indie R&B, like jazz, blues kind of thing, like Corinne Bailey Rae and artists like that. So I watch a lot of Tiny Desk concerts. So of course that song their Tiny Desk came up on my YouTube suggestions. And then I was like, okay. I was like, whoa.
They're not auto-tuned.
I know. I was like, because that was my impression when I watched the Dynamite video. I was like, okay, this is probably auto-tuned. Like, especially like that key change part. I was like, whoa, it sounds auto-tuned. And then, yeah, I watched that Tiny Desk and like, I was blown away. Like, I was like, whoa. And then that's when I really like started to appreciate like, you know, their faces. Like, whoa, they're all so like perfect. And like that's when I asked Kuya, I was like, what's the one with the eyes like that? But yeah, and then yeah, after that, like I just and then when I asked Kuya like what the names were, and he was like, it's starting Sarah. I was like, no. I was like
it always starts with the names.
The names, yeah. And like I think I was like,
once you start learning the names, that's the point of no return.
Yeah. And I think I went through like a little period of denial because I was like, no, like I just want to know like what this one person's name was because he
I
has
saw
a
the
nice
recording of her.
Oh yeah.
When she
I
was
should include it in
she was like, what's this?
And then yeah, he sent me a video, like it was like
actually it was my friend who sent me the video because I was telling my friend like my sister's getting to BTS like
yeah, and then
she loves Jungkook.
Yeah, and then I watched that video and then I was like, whoa. It was like a 20-minute long video like introducing each member.
Whenever I was trying out new hairstyles, she'd always compare it to a BTS member.
That was just one hairstyle.
No, but I was like, Sarah, what if I tie my hair in a bun like this? Oh, you look like Jungkook.
Oh my god.
And then my hair's like this. Oh, you're like Jimin's hair now.
Yeah.
You kind of look like who else did you say? Compare me to?
I don't know. I think it was only Jimin and Jungkook. Oh no, Yoongi.
Yoongi?
Because Yoongi he recently had an undercut in their new concert.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Namjoon always had an undercut too.
Yeah. Except for when they debuted, he has like that weird hair. But yeah, anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, also, my other, like, it wasn't just him who tried to get me into K-pop. My friend Ash, shout out to Ash. Like, yeah, she would always, you know, try to talk about like K-pop and stuff like that. But then, you know, same reaction. I was just kind of like, okay, cool, K-pop. But yeah, then like she even made me like a playlist of like K-pop groups, and I listened through the whole thing, but there wasn't really things that like really stood out to me, like just a few artists that I was like, okay. But yeah, I don't know what it was about BTS, like it just really like hooked me in, and then from there like I started to get, you know, now I'm into like Stray Kids and TXT. And then for girl groups that I'm starting to get into, I'm like I said, it's only been a month, so I'm like really overwhelmed with all the content, but I'm starting to like I'm just taking it slow, you know. But I've been getting into Mamamoo, yeah, Mamamoo and Twice because of him and our other cousin, and Red Velvet as well. Red Velvet more for the music, like I haven't really learned like stuff about the members as much, except for
me neither actually.
Yeah.
I just love their music.
Their music, yeah. I love like the jazzy vibe, and like their harmonies are crazy, but yeah, Red Velvet, except for like the whole Irene controversy lately. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, but
it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Irene's so, I always thought of her as like the baby.
But yeah, but with like the members like Mamamoo, I've been watching like so many like vlogs. Solar has her own YouTube channel, so I've been watching her vlogs, and like yeah. So that's our YouTube our K-pop journey.
Took like 20 minutes.
I know.
So we have topics actually from Ash.
Yeah, actually Ash gave us some questions about K-pop. So before that, we're gonna put some chips on the plate. We'll look at ASMR.
Can you see the plate?
No, it's like
So-
up to here.
So it's just gonna.
Guys, if you haven't tried this flavor of chips, it's so good. If you're into like salty, sweet and salty stuff, this is not a paid promotion. But
Oh, you don't mind.
we don't mind. Baka naman, magpa-sponsor. Anyway, okay. Oops, sorry. Let's get into it. First question. You wanna read it?
Why do you think some K-pop stans feel like they have the right to dictate what a group can or cannot do?
Your voice is like really small here.
Really? Should I say that again?
No, that's fine.
Okay, so why do you think some K-pop stans feel like they have the right to dictate what a group can or cannot do?
I feel like there's some sentiment in like Ash asking this question. Like, you know. Do you feel this way? Like some K-pop stan?
I mean, the thing about K-pop, especially groups, you can't treat them like a typical musical artist, like a band, you know? Because the performers aren't the people writing the songs most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't make it any less artistic, right?
Exactly.
Movies are made by so many people, but are you gonna say, oh, it's not artistic because more than one person worked on this shot versus that shot, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, in cinema, we had a thing called auteur theory, where you have a guy that's a director, maybe the producer, and he's the visionary, and this whole film is his or her vision. I'm like 50-50 in subscribing to that, because I think attributing everything to one person sort of devalues the work that everyone else did in the movie. And something I'm also seeing in video games is almost never hear about this game by this person unless it was literally made by one person. And even then, usually this one person would go under the name of a studio. So in the world of video games, you usually describe the work as being made by the studio. And you're always going to be like, oh, I love this studio's games. I love the kind of work they do. And sometimes when a studio does something different, you'd be like, oh, this doesn't feel like that studio. We're talking of the studio as if they were an artist, right? So, for example, like the Halo games. Halo used to be made by a studio named Bungie, and they're mostly known from their older strategy games, but then they made a shooter called Halo, and they infused that sort of like sensibility from their old games, like the story and that art design. But soon they left the property to stop making Halo games to make something else, but the Halo games kept continuing under another studio, but it artistically felt different. So, but you never attributed it to one person, you attributed it to the whole company,
studio,
the whole studio. So, going back into K-pop, you see the same thing happening, right? Like, for me, I treat the group like a studio, like I would a studio in
It's not just the faces of the members.
It's not just the faces of the members. So when people say like when people say it's not the art doesn't have any merit because it was produced by a committee, and that's why you can just say what they should or shouldn't do.
Yeah.
Because it's just a product, you know. And I feel like it devalues the artistic part of it.
Yeah.
So. And that's the thing, right? It's an industry. These groups, whether you like it or not, as artistic as they are, it's a product. And products are made to sell to the masses. So, going back to video games, because that's what I know the best. Usually, fans do dictate a lot of what a studio does with their games, sometimes to its own detriment. Example, there was this game that came out called Mass Effect 3. And the studio had their own idea. The writers had their own idea of how the thing should end. Fans didn't like it. And they demanded that a better ending be made. So they made a better ending, you know, with more tied up plot threads and whatnot, and you know, I guess it was happier. I don't know. I haven't played the game.
It just came out?
No, that was like 8 years or 7 years ago already. But the point is, that's probably not what the writers envisioned, right? It's what the fans wanted.
Yeah.
So, does that devalue the art of it, you know? Or was it not artistic to begin with, which is why they were willing to change it? So, in the same vein, like, when we're telling a studio to change a product, there's sort of, in a capitalistic, like, economical sense, they should listen to the fans because that's what sells, you know. But if we're treating I feel like I'm not like coming to a single point here.
It's okay. Like you're talking about so many things.
I'm talking about so many things, but I feel like it's gonna converge eventually.
Yeah. You're making like 2 or 3 like sub-points that are like leading into one main point.
Anyways, where was I? It's a product, it's a commercial product. But but you're also treating it like an artistic thing. So back to sub point. I don't even know which sub point this is. Whose art is it?
Yeah, I think that's the question.
Yeah, whose art is it? Because clearly, it's for some groups like Twice, it's not the members. You know, they're not the ones writing the songs. But of course, I'm sure they have their input. You know, into the choreography, maybe into the concept. But in the end, they're not the ones making the decisions.
Right.
And you never hear about the people making the decisions.
And the fans, some fans think they
fans think they can. I don't know. At the same time,
honestly, for me as a new like K-pop fan, I haven't encountered fans like that.
I haven't encountered fans either. I mean, if I, for example, I wasn't into the new Luna concept, but if that's what they want to do, that's what they do. But for me, it feels like they want to start to appeal more to the masses. That's what the new concept feels like to me. They're going into a more hip hop direction, which is I'm not against, but it's not what I fell in love with them for.
Yeah.
I fell in love with the weird mix of EDM and jazz. You know, that's what I like, and the cool. They didn't drop the cool cinematography. That's what I'm happy about. So that they kept that going, but they did hire. I noticed they hired because what K-pop fans do actually is, especially when they release track listings, they see which studio produced the music. Because usually they get different production companies to make different songs for the same album. And one thing we noticed with the new Luna albums is that Mono Tree, which produced a lot of their old songs, wasn't involved in their newer releases. So that changed the sound.
Yeah.
Of course, when you get another production studio, it's gonna change the sound. And again, it's a company that's being credited.
Right.
Mono Tree. You never hear about one person.
Yeah.
So, where am I getting with this in terms of the question?
The question is, why do you think?
Yeah. So
well, for you as a K-pop fan, do you feel like you can dictate what a group can or can't do?
It's hard to say because
For me,
a lot of these groups, the companies themselves do treat the music like a product.
Right.
And if you're treating the music like a product, and I'm a consumer, then
So
I have a say in it because I'm the consumer. I'm the customer.
Yeah.
But in the case of like bands like BTS and Luna, where it feels more artistic, it feels like the vision of like a focused vision, right?
Right.
Yeah, I don't feel like I have a say because that's what they want to do with their music, and that's exactly how I treat other bands. Even though I I tend to like, for example, one of my favorite bands before was Dance Gavin Dance, and I up to this day I still listen to some of their albums just over and over, but their latest stuff, they're shifting into a direction that I don't like, but that's what they want because that's them. I can't tell them to change what they want because that's what they want to do with their music. I understand as a musician when you get bored of doing the same sound over and over. And you see that almost every group that makes it to like 10 years, any musician who makes it to 10 years in their career usually ends up changing their sound.
Right.
So
Paramore.
yeah.
I used to be a huge Paramore fan.
Yeah. So I don't blame them. But when you're treating your art as a commodity, then I feel obliged to consume it like a commodity.
Right. Yeah, that's what I think, like a huge part of K-pop, like the driving force of it is really the fans, and that kind of makes like how you described, how it's kind of like a commodity. It kind of makes the fans feel kind of entitled to getting, fan service, because that's so much. That's like the pattern of like how the K-pop industry like operates, is the fan service. Like they give the fans what they want, and I think, like, to answer the question, why do I think K-pop fans feel that they can dictate, is because I think that has been a driving force of the K-pop industry, is just giving the fans what they want, and then like to the point where the idols are so objectified already. It's like they're just like puppets for the industry and the fan base, just which is kind of sad. Which I really salute. Like JD was telling me about how like some of the companies, they really take care of their members' like mental health and stuff like that. Like Junghyun's on a
Mina was twice on a break last year. Now Junghyun is on a break.
Yeah, so that's
it's
tells you.
it's stressful to
the fact
be
that they have
idol.
to do that tells you how much stress they go through. Being in the spotlight. So
Yeah, you're the face of the group, yet you're not making any of the decisions.
right.
That's hard. At least actors in a movie, they have decisions in how they can play their role. When you're a idol, you have to follow the choreography that was made for you.
Yeah.
You have to sing the way that in the role that they put for you. That's hard.
Except I don't know how authentic it is. Like I still have question, but like BTS, they do a lot of like, especially the rap lineup. They do a lot of the songwriting and they're producing, and like even the choreography. Like J-Hope does a lot of their choreography. So I don't know. Maybe that's one of the things that makes them unique. I don't know.
It's changing a lot in modern K-pop. Like
Yeah.
the artists, usually the performers do write lyrics. I think Twice does that. I think Red Velvet does that. They write some of the lyrics for their songs. So there's that, I think what the K-pop industry needs is, that's why I got drawn more into indie artists, because
No drama.
not no drama. It's like I feel like I'm listening to the art of what this person.
It feels more personal.
Feels more personal, That's why I absolutely love Yerin Beck, because like
We were watching her concert last night. It was so good.
You listen to her latest album. The name of the album is Every Letter I Wrote to You.
So if that's not like
If that's not
telling you that it really came from the heart.
came from the heart, yeah. I might have messed up the name of the album, but that's the idea, right? Every single song in that album feels like a poem that was written to someone.
Aww.
Yeah. And yeah, I appreciate that, Of course, it's not pop music anymore. hers leans heavily into the R&B indie sort of thing, but I like to see that happen in pop music. I mean, in the same vein, like Western pop music, it's the same exact thing.
Yeah. So that leads into the second question. I think we can, since you mentioned Western pop music.
What is your opinion regarding mistreatment in the Korean entertainment industry versus the Western entertainment industry? Follow-up. Should K-pop idols...
Follow up to that question. Follow up to that question.
Oh, okay. Should K-pop idols only be Asian? Oh, okay, let's get to that later. So, Korean versus Western entertainment industry.
Okay. Yeah, I think that can be like a general topic, like Korea versus.
I feel like Asian entertainment wears its commercialism on its sleeve. For me,
Like what you talk about, like being
yeah, being a
like
product.
commodity and all
Yeah,
that.
I don't think they're afraid to hide that this is a product. Like, look at all the
Right.
photo cards,
Yeah.
album freebies. They sell these light sticks. They sell a lot of merch, and they're not afraid to show that this is a brand that they're selling.
Yeah. They literally brand every.
Yeah, this is a
know,
and while Western, I think that's the thing that really turns people off of K-pop, because Western, even though it's still just as commodified
In the
like,
West.
in the West, they'll usually sell it as you are following a single artist,
Right.
like Justin Bieber's early career. You know, they took care to make sure that this is Justin Bieber you're following, but all of the songs are being written by other people, and all the productions being done by other people. But as much as possible, they still want to sell it as the work of a single artist, and that's that idea that it's only merited when it's the work of a single artist is so ingrained, I think, in Western media that, you know, when they see here in Asia, it doesn't even stop at Korea. You know, if you look at the Japanese media, you know, the same thing. Like we think of this art being made by studios. You know, or unless, you know, sometimes there's exceptions like Studio Ghibli. You think more about Hayao Miyazaki than you would think about the Studio Ghibli, right?
Right.
Most of the time, unless it's not made by him. For the most part, like, yeah. In Asia, we sell media as a brand. You know, I love. Man, I was just gonna mention an anime that I know the author of, but I just realized there's a lot of anime and manga I don't know the author of.
He watches a lot of anime.
I love Attack on Titan. I love the brand. I already forgot who. I used to know who the author was, but that's sort of the point, right? They're selling you Attack on Titan merch. They're selling you the anime. They're selling you the manga. It's the brand that's front and center. I don't know that many idol groups in Japan, but I'm sure it's the same thing. You know, the brand is front and center. You know, the name. Even when a solo artist becomes big in pop, they're still a brand. They brand themselves. And yeah, I feel like that doesn't sit well with Western audiences.
Yeah.
That we're
It's kind of like they're very open about like the like it's just kind of like a facade. The artist is a facade, something like that.
So the question is mistreatment. So we're still going into the whole brand versus art thing, but
Yeah.
I think that's what makes it easy for artists to be mistreated and
They're like objectified.
yeah. When you wear when you wear the brand on your sleeve, when you wear that, what word did I use earlier?
I forgot.
I forgot too.
The
Commercialism?
commercial, yeah, commercial, yeah. It was like
when
being
you
commercial about it, yeah.
it suddenly becomes easy to treat everyone like an employee.
True, yeah. Like the idols are like employee.
Yeah.
Basically, they are.
Basically, they're employees. So yeah, it becomes easy to just boss them around and tell them what to do because you're just an employee. You're not an artist.
And they they really have to work to get these spots, you know?
Yeah.
A big part of, I think, what makes sets K-pop apart from Western entertainment is the whole trainee process. Like, it's not...
They're literally created.
Yeah.
In Western media, they're discovered.
They're discovered, yeah.
In Korea, these idols are created. they'll train from childhood to
I think
become.
that was you're right. Like that was one of the things, because I remember when I wasn't into K-pop, like he would talk about it all the time, and like I remember he told me about that. Like he was like, you know, that some of these idols, like from early age of like 8 to 10, like they're already starting to train, or like they already condition these artists, and that kind of turned. I think that was the one thing that turned me off. Like I was like, that's so weird. Like like what? Like I think I just started to question the authenticity of everything. But yeah, without knowing like how fun it is to actually follow the idols. But yeah, I think that's one of the things that kind of, you know, put me off at first.
It's I mean, I hate to make the analogy, but it's a lot like a farm. You're raising these idols from childhood to become the best product.
And if it sells,
it sells, you know. So yeah, just circling back, like, does that make it any less artistic? If it is artistic, or we're starting
I think
to.
it's still art. It's still art, but
You can interpret it as art, you know.
yeah.
Death of the author. What we say is art,
Right.
regardless of how it was made.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just sad to think about, you know. Especially in the early days of K-pop, where like they were just shameless about. Yeah, like it's just super creepy. You think about like some old guy going up to like a 7-year-old girl and saying, she's gonna be a nice idol when she grows up.
Does that really happen?
How else would it happen?
Well, I thought they like auditioned, like.
Their auditions, they're also invited, but at the same time, this is an adult looking at a child, imagining them to become, and they're gonna be doing
vibes.
exactly, boys and girls.
Yeah.
So, and you can see actually pedophilia, like hints of it in Korean media.
Yeah.
So.
So next question.
It's starting to change.
Yeah.
For example, like
I think maybe that should
Twice
be a
members
conversation they should start to be open about.
Twice members can date.
Right.
Actually, that's why I love Twice so much, because they can date. They have leaves for when they're having mental issues. Like, that's what we need to see more, you know. My question is, if they're also doing that with their trainees.
True.
But
I can't imagine what it's like to be a trainee, man.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I think I've been seeing that with JYP. For example, Yerin Beck, she was signed under JYP at first.
Oh, really?
As a duo, but when she decided to go off and start doing her own solo thing, it was Jin Young who encouraged it.
Her duo?
No, her doing her own thing.
Oh, JYP.
Yeah, JYP. I saw an old interview where he was sort of like an old interview where he was sort of telling her like, yeah, follow your dream.
Aw.
And now she has her own label.
I know.
So
he's a nice guy.
He's a nice guy. I think. Yeah.
I kind of got I saw one of his performances because I didn't know JYP was an actual performer. I saw I think it was from Mama Awards last year. He performed with Mamamoo. That was the first time I saw him performing. Like, I was like, I got like creepy, weird, like
creepy old man
vibes from him. Honestly, like, but yeah. But knowing that, like, he's probably like that's just his, you know.
Yeah, that's his
image, his artist image.
Artist image.
Yeah. So, I think we can just do these next these two. It's too much. Okay. Okay, I'll read the next question. Or do you want to just skip to this one? Because it's kind of long.
How long have we been talking? I think...
The last one or this one?
Yeah, let's do the last two.
Okay. So do you think K-pop has become so saturated as it has become both very famous and very infamous?
I thought we were going to do this one.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Let's skip that one.
Yeah.
Okay, you like that one?
No, I mean, I'm thinking about time here.
Okay. I think we just do this one. I don't want to do this one.
You don't want to do that one?
No.
Okay. This one is for you, Sarah.
Hmm?
This one is for you.
Oh, wait, I don't want to do this one.
Oh.
I can't see where you're pointing. You're pointing here.
Which one should I do?
I like that one.
Okay,
though.
fine. Okay, we'll do 2 more questions. Okay, so
Let's just do all 3.
Okay, fine. We're a mess. This is the first episode, so. Okay.
Do you think K-pop has become so saturated that it's become both very famous and very infamous?
I think we kind of touched on that earlier. How
Yeah.
it's kind of like it's famous for some things, and
It's famous for its bad aspects.
Yeah.
Basically, like almost every person who isn't into K-pop will always bring up the same things,
Like
manufactured. They don't treat their artists
auto-tune.
Auto-tune. They put too much makeup. It's
Yeah.
all fake.
Yeah.
That's why That's why I really wanted to make this conversation about is K-pop art.
Yeah.
Because everyone always brings up that it's fake. Yeah, you know what? I can agree with you. It is incredibly fake. There's so much effects going on in these music videos. Voices are very overprocessed. They're raising these artists from childhood to become what they want them to be. It's very commodified, but in the end, I still think it's art. I still think it's worth listening to.
Because
Because it's interesting. It's unique.
unique, I think that's
yeah,
a big part of it.
It's still, and it's entertaining, right?
Yeah, that's the whole point of it. It's entertainment.
It's
you know,
entertaining.
anything.
Yeah.
You know, even Western media. It's. I think if anything, like if Koreans are more open about being
Yeah.
fake, like you know, I think Western media is just good at hiding
Yeah.
all the over processing. Yeah.
So, I don't know about saturated. I feel like K-pop isn't that popular yet.
True, and that's why I think like a lot of, like, I guess this will go into the next question.
This one is for you, Sarah.
The next question was, how do you
As
feel
in you-
about the negativity that surrounds your fandom? What would you say to locals who constantly make fun of your fandom? Honestly, like I've only been in the fandom for like seriously in the fandom, maybe like not even a month. Like getting in, like including the time like where I was kind of like slowly getting into it, maybe like over a month or something like that. But I haven't really. I think it's just
What's a timestamp on that one?
I haven't really encountered like a lot of negativity. I think the negativity more comes from me because like I encounter like 'cause my Twitter feed, the Twitter algorithms change so quickly. Like honestly, like I just started liking a bunch of tweets about like Jungkook and Taeyong, and like now my whole Twitter feed is just all like BTS
Oh, here it is.
tweets.
September 25.
Oh wow,
When you started looking up their names.
hasn't even been. That's like a month, like a little over a month. So, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, my Twitter feed is all like a bunch of BTS stans and stuff like that. And for me, I haven't really encountered like tweets that are like hating on them, but it's more like me like thinking like some of these fans are just crazy. Like, I see tweets like oh. Like if BTS breaks up, I'm never gonna listen to K-pop again. Like they're the only good K-pop group. I'm like, no, so like
They treat BTS as some sort of exception to
oh yeah, it's like, oh, I don't like K-pop, but I like BTS. It's like,
or like BTS doesn't count as K-pop. Don't lump BTS with those weird K-pop groups.
yeah, there's so I'm surprised like some of the tweets I see and like
And it's incredibly racist.
yeah, true, and like
As if like, yeah, BTS is a good artist for Asians.
yeah, I think that's the thing. Like there's this hashtag that was going around for a while, that hashtag BTS paved the way, like basically saying that like they paved the way for all other K-pop artists to go international, and like
No.
I mean, I semi agree. I think like especially like getting the spotlight, like people actually knowing what K-pop is, like they have a huge part in it, but pave the way, I think.
Psy.
Yeah, it's like Gangnam Style.
Gangnam Style. That's the first K-pop that everyone was into.
Yeah, but
Don't get that twisted.
but no, I think actually like appreciating K-pop, like they did a big part. But there's in Western culture, I think there's still that like it's like okay, like there's still that the second part of it, like, oh, BTS is good, for an Asian group, you know. There's still that thing where it's like, oh, they're that one Asian group, you know. They still have that kind of label, so that there's still that huge
K-pop.
yeah, there's just still that huge barrier of culture of like how people see like Eastern media and Eastern entertainment, and like yeah, so how do I feel about negativity? I feel like there's just a certain part of the fandom that I just don't want to be associated. I'm sorry for armies who are watching this, but I really I'm very, you know, it was very pure the way that I got into BTS. It's just like I really fell in love with their personalities. Like watching Run BTS, like I'm almost finished. I've like been binge watching the episodes, but there's so many. They're on like more than 100 episodes now. I'm only like on the 60th one, I think. So, but yeah, I think in all honesty, like if I didn't know like the rest of the fandom, like I would still super fall in love with like, you know, the members and everything. But knowing, like watching or reading these posts and all that, like wow, like some fans are just really like grabe. But also in another sense, BTS has the best fans of like really of being just like so dedicated like to getting them all these awards.
It's a religion.
And, like, yeah, it's like their religion, like, you know, like yeah, so I don't think BTS would get this far without, you know, all the dedicated fans. But I think that's like one thing. Like I was just watching a video of Amber Liu. She was talking about her experience with like the K-pop industry. Like she's a do you know Amber Liu? She was born and raised in LA, and then she became a K-pop star like when she was in her teens. But yeah, she was saying how she just wishes that K-pop it's not about getting awards, because she was, you know, like oversaturated, like the K-pop industry is oversaturated with too many award shows, too many different awards, and it's like if you're not number one or if you don't have a top hit, then you don't really matter.
Yeah, that I never actually thought about that now. Like,
yeah, it's like
it's always about
the awards.
I feel like that's because I don't spend enough time on Twitter anymore, because it's always vote for this, stream this. I'm like,
it's like
I like the music.
Like every day I see tweets like don't forget to stream this music video so you'll get it to 1 billion views. Like
I'm not gonna make this my life.
Yeah. Like yeah, for me, like I was into it for the music and like, you know, their entertainment of their personalities, you know.
But you know what?
But people.
The thing about that, like that's if we're going back to how it's a commodity. Like the industry relies on that.
True.
It relies on people being obsessed. Because who's gonna buy all these light sticks and photo cards? I can make my own photo card buying some thick paper. It's probably I can raise the DPI setting and make a better photo card than what you get in the album. That's all it is. And you're paying how much for a tiny card?
Because it came from Korea.
And it's an exclusive photo. Okay, I guess that's you're not gonna get any digital version of that photo unless someone does a really nice scan. But at the same time, it's artificial. You're increasing the value of the product artificially because you're relying on people being obsessed. So I think that's why people put down fandoms too. Yeah. Because you're obsessed. You're going into really... every thread, serious or not, spamming Stan Luna, whether it fits the
oh my gosh,
whether it fits the conversation or not.
I think the healthiest threads that I would go on is Reddit, the Bangtan subreddit. That's like where I can see like really like educated conversations about BTS whenever they come out with a new video or something like that. But yeah, there's a lot of toxic fans on Twitter, and I was shocked. I was like, it was like, it's like, I'm a 2003 liner. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, these are like 13-year-olds, you know. So
I think that's another thing about it, you know, because when everyone who's 13
is obsessed with
something.
I was obsessed with Paramore.
You can't blame them, you know. When we're saying like, oh,
you're obsessed with this is your whole life.
Right.
It sort of is.
Yeah, because they
But
don't have
there's nothing wrong with that because you're only
Yeah.
14 years old.
And I think it's gotten so much, like they're saying, like, 2020 has been the year of BTS because, despite the whole pandemic and everything, like they have just like multiplied their fan base this year with they've come out with like the beginning of the year they came out with the album and then Dynamite and everything. And I think that also has like the pandemic has worked towards their favor, especially because people have been bored this year, just quarantined. So like they've been serving up videos, content, live streams. So, I think and that like a lot of those people are the bored teenagers who are at home,
Yeah.
just consuming all the content they have. I mean, even me, I was like so overwhelmed. Like when I started getting into them, like
Just so much
so
to
much
watch.
content, so much to watch. I'm like, wait, they have a variety show. Wait, they have like a show about traveling. They have like a
animation.
They have an animation. Yeah, they have, like I was like, what's a BT? I only recently discovered what BT21. I was like, oh, they have a cartoon about them. Like what? So it's crazy. Like it's overwhelming how much content there is.
Yeah. I mean, they've been around for like 5 years at this point, so.
7 years.
7 years?
That's why their new album was Map of the Soul 7.
See.
7 is a significant number.
I thought it was like their 7th album.
No, it's like there's 7 of them, and then it's their 7th year. Kuya, get with the program.
I told you I'm a casual BTS fan.
Yeah,
Come
okay.
on.
Anyway, so last question. We hit the 1 hour mark.
Do you think K-pop will become niche and lose its uniqueness? No, it's an interesting question because niche and unique are usually in the same vein.
What
Don't
do
you
mean?
think? Niche means not popular.
Right.
Is this saying that once it becomes not popular, it's because it wasn't unique anymore? I feel like once something becomes popular, that's when it starts losing its uniqueness. Right?
Certified hipster. I only listen to the indie artists.
I think K-pop is still niche.
Yeah.
If we're talking
Globally, like internationally.
If we're talking about Western, in the West, it's still niche.
Yeah.
If we're talking in the East, not at all. Everyone here in the Philippines is obsessed with whatever popular K-pop song is going on right now. What is it now?
Dynamite.
Dynamite, yeah. So,
Or Lovesick Girls.
yeah, or whatever Blackpink comes out with.
Yeah.
So, no. In the East, K-pop is not niche at all.
It's so niche that like I realize like a lot of YouTube vloggers use it as like cloud. Like there's so many like, oh, so and so reacts to K-pop. It's like
Yeah.
it's become like a trend. Like
Yeah.
like my family reacts to K-pop. Like okay.
But I think that's the thing about K-pop. It's hard to lump everything under one umbrella. Like what I've been listening to from Korea, I can call it K-pop, but I wouldn't lump it on the same. I wouldn't lump artists like Crush and
Right.
and who else I don't even know how to pronounce
Yeah,
his name. Zico, like Sam Kim, Yerin
Yeah.
Big, like all these smaller artists that I'm listening to. They're pop
That's
music.
True. Actually, I feel like it shouldn't be generalized just like, oh, that's a K-pop group, because like the more that I listen to different groups, I'm like, every group has their own kind of style. I wish that there was like, like I know there is, but like, the general audience just knows it as just K-pop, but you know,
If it's from Korea,
it's K-pop. But
K-pop.
there's so many different genres that they explore.
yeah.
And it's like so many genres in one.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that like one of the first things when I started like listening to more of it, I realized like I can't put this into one genre. I think that's why people just call it K-pop, because you can't really, there's like parts where it sounds hip hop, parts where it sounds like bluesy, and it's like
I wish people would stop like for example Daft Punk, right? No one calls them F house.
French house.
Okay, yeah, I guess French house is a genre in its own. But that's because of how the French does house music, like that sort of trend that happens there, but you never hear them. You never hear people talk about them as French people,
Yeah.
right?
People even talk like, oh, they're French.
Yeah, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
Daft Punk is French.
Yeah.
Like, I guess because the K-pop industry is already its own industry that that hasn't really interacted with internationally until now. That's why people lump it as one thing.
Right.
But in every single country, there's gonna be a breadth of art being made in there. You can't just lump it all as this is Korean music and Korean music sounds like this,
Yeah.
right? For example, I listen to a lot of Japanese math rock and jazz, and I'm not gonna lump all of that under music from Japan,
Right.
because I don't listen to a lot of these tracks from anime. Like, but people are expecting me because I listen to some indie math rock band from Japan, I'm gonna be into anime music. But I actually am into anime music, but that's not the point.
Great. Just like crushed your entire point.
That's not the point,
You
right?
just canceled yourself. Oh my god.
That's not the point, right?
Then
And
what's the point?
the point is, I think this question is flawed because it's saying K-pop is one thing, right?
True.
There's a lot of K-pop groups I don't listen to. In fact, I only listen to like 2, maybe.
Luna and
Twice, BTS and Red Velvet. Okay, that's 4. And everything else from other groups, I only know like 1 or 2 songs. And then I'm obsessed with Haze and Aaron Beck. And yeah, so but I'm not following I can't. That's why I can't keep up with Twitter,
Yeah.
because there's so many multi-group stands and fan wars, and I'm not gonna participate in that.
I go on Twitter to get translations from their posts.
So
But yeah, other than
I don't
that.
think it's fair to say K-pop will become niche,
Yeah, that's true.
because I think
There's so many
there's so much
aspects of it.
there's so much in Korean pop music that's already niche and unique, and I don't think its popularity is ever gonna change that niche and uniqueness, unless everyone decides to copy.
Yeah.
So, but like even then, they're the first, right?
Yeah.
So it's an interest. Yeah. The question just leads me to it's the wrong way to think about K-pop,
True.
because there's just so much going on in Korea
Yeah.
in terms of the art that's being made
South
there.
Korea and North Korea. I was crying. This is like tangent. I cried this morning. I was watching. I don't know. There's like this YouTuber, Park, Yeonmi Park. She's a refugee from North Korea. I was just crying watching her videos. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's crazy how life is in North Korea. Literal darkness. Like if you see like the satellite image of like Korea during night, like literally it's like South Korea is like so much light, especially Seoul is like this huge light hole thing. And then you just see like North Korea is just like pitch black, and then this dot of light that's Pyongyang, and then you see China that's like super light. So yeah, it's really sad, but a lot going on in Korea.
Yeah.
And I mean, but I really do applaud like how Korea has invested in their entertainment industry. I wish they'd had that in the Philippines. We invested as much,
Sure, we invest just in different ways.
different ways. Yeah, I think they're so strategic in the way that they
Yeah.
invest in their entertainment.
That's what I've been going at it now. Like
Yeah,
K-pop isn't afraid to treat Korean companies aren't afraid to treat their properties as a brand product. You don't see that like happening in the West, They encourage people to buy the merch. They encourage people to
Yeah.
to be huge fans.
to get obsessed.
Get obsessed because
They made a whole like Weverse was made for fans.
yeah. So I think that's what contributes to its success a lot, like treating it like a brand.
Yeah.
And not that Western companies don't do that to their properties either, right? But they don't
Like
treat it
openly
like they don't
say-
openly treat it like a brand. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, oh, you think the Philippines could do that?
I think the Philippines has so much potential to do something like that because we have so much talent here.
Yeah.
But it's just like we're just so baduy. Like, I'm sorry.
I don't.
but, like,
Whenever anything becomes commercial here,
Yeah, it
it's
becomes-
always messed up by really poor marketing decisions.
Yeah, seriously, it's really sad. Like, yeah, I think one of the big like they actually get it. The OPM artist right now is Ben and Ben. Like they're so good with their marketing, and I think they're kind of following the K-pop thing. Like just recently, they named their fandom the Liwanags, I think.
Really?
Yeah, they named their fandom, and during quarantine, they started this whole like variety show segment on their YouTube channel, the
Really?
BBTV, and it's like they do games and stuff like that, and I'm like they get it, like, and their fandom is so like they're so supportive, and like so we should have more groups like this, and yeah.
Well, we'll see that. Hopefully, you can see that in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that they're really taking that step and making it, So, and a lot of like Filipino fan or artistas are into K-pop too. Actually, that's one of the reasons I actually started to really get into it because I started to see Lea Salonga's tweets. Lea Salonga's an army. Like she was like tweeting a lot like, I respect this group so much, their professionalism and all that. I was like, really? And then I started to just watch more, like she was like sharing stuff. So yeah. I mean the fact that Lea Salonga is army, like, that was a lot about the group.
So we're gonna cut it there.
Yeah, so any last words about K-pop?
I mean, I've said all that I said. I mean, like, just in conclusion, I can't really make any conclusions. Just, I feel like K-pop is going in the right direction in terms of cleaning up the bad parts of it. But we shouldn't deny that this whole duality of whether this is art or whether if it's a product or whether product devalues the fact that it can be art. I think that's the conversation that should keep going with this sort of thing, because I think at the core of every hater, every debate about K-pop, that's the core of it.
Yeah.
Whether this is worth my time to consume as art. So
What he said. Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm super excited. Like I'm honestly like getting into K-pop has been one of the highlights of this pandemic for me. Like it's really fun, like following and getting to know all these members. So I'm excited to, keep up with all the fandoms and all the groups that I've been getting into. So yeah, we'll see what happens. So that has been episode 1 of Dulaka, the Dulaka Show.
Dulaka Show.
Comment if you like this. Comment suggestions of what we should name our segment.
And what topics we should talk about.
Yes, more topics. And
We'll see you next week.
see you next week. We should film every Monday.
Yeah.
So yeah. Thanks guys. Like and subscribe. Are we gonna make a new channel for this? We haven't talked
I don't
about it
know.
yet. Okay, we'll see.
Let's just say it for now. Like if you like the video. If you didn't like the video, you know what to do. Yeah. Comment. Anything you want us to do. Especially give us a name if you can. And of course, if you want to keep up with what we're doing here, give us a subscribe. You won't regret it.
He knows what he's talking about.
So that ends it for
Alright.
now.
Thanks for watching.
Dulakas out.
Out. So cringy. Okay, bye.
Gosh.
Save it.